Whenever an autistic parent, particularly an autistic mother, talks about how hard it is to be a mom, about how the sensory overload and the demand overwhelm can really get to you as an autistic person, other autistic parents will come into your comments and say, "Thank you so much. I'm so glad that someone else feels this way. I'm glad that you're saying that this is okay. I really appreciate it." Other people tell her that she shouldn't be a mom, or that she should have been more ready to be a mom if she was going to have kids. This kind of comment is saying that disabled people shouldn't breed. It's gatekeeping who can have children. It's trying to end autistic families. And y'all are tossing these ideas into the comments of autistic mothers, autistic parents of all genders who are struggling and confessing it and sharing it with other parents. And you came in there to hurt them. Autistic women are out here saying, like, if I'm just prepared enough, if I've just done enough healing, enough research, if I make enough money, maybe then I'll be lovable enough to deserve to have kids. And meanwhile, neurotypicals are just out here having kids because they feel like having them, because they like kids, because their parents had kids, because it's what people do sometimes. Are we going to pretend that all neurotypical parents are fit to be parents just because of their neurotype? No. Are they inherently better at raising kids than us? No. Are all autistic parents suffering? No. Are all neurodivergent parents abusing their kids or manipulating or depending on their kids? No. Our motherhood is impacted by things like poverty, addiction, employment, childcare, housing, family support. Whether or not we inherit wealth, our education, age, trauma, opportunities, privilege, intersectional identities, misogyny, systematic oppression, and ableism. Our success as mothers is not entirely dependent on a mother's goodness or readiness or neurotype alone. You deserve to be a parent if you love children and you want to blossom into that part of yourself. And I hope to God that you have the financial and family and community support it takes to do that well, regardless of your neurotype. I thought I was ready to have kids. I wanted them so much. I was not ready, y'all. Because shit happens that you cannot possibly anticipate. There is no fucking amount of readiness that would have prepared me for 2 years of pandemic isolation. There was no amount of readiness that would prepare me for my husband to have his hand caught in a table saw when I was 5 months pregnant with our first child. And every single thing that was going to happen to us because of that accident. I was in my 30s. I was married to my husband for 10 years, and he had been sober for 5 years. We owned our own home. I thought I had support in place, like sisters, my mother, my stepmother, my grandmother, my neighbors, and my friends. My younger sisters lived in town, and they were still students that had a lot of free time. I had a circle of great female friends and, of course, the art community. I thought we were emotionally ready. My husband had worked the 12 steps for years, and I spent 2 hours a day in Buddhist silence while I worked from home. We went to drum circles and ecstatic dances, meditated and chanted. I read books and I did workshops. We love kids. I was a teacher, and before that, a nanny. I'm the oldest daughter. I had a special interest in birth, babies, attachment parenting, child development, education. From the second you start trying to conceive, every single thing about motherhood is out of our control. Fertility, the pregnancy, the birth, what baby you get, their health, their needs, how they sleep or don't sleep, eat or don't eat. It's not up to you. We react, we improvise, we make it up as we go along. It is on the job training. I thought I was prepared, but that was based on what I knew. I was basically prepared to parent a little version of myself. somebody who was a girly girl, sensory avoidant, gentle, artistic, and bookish, into folk songs and nature. I was prepared for a kid that had my interests and my temperament. But that is not what I got. My kids are pretty much my opposite. So what happened was the unexpected. My sisters and my friends moved away. My grandma died. My art community had no interest in me as a mother. If I couldn't join them in their world, they had no interest in joining in me in my new one. I felt like I had ceased to exist. I had played a service role in so many people's lives. And when I couldn't serve them anymore because I had to take care of my own children, our relationship, our friendship ended. The other thing that I couldn't anticipate before children was just how many false expectations I had about what motherhood was going to be like. I actually expected my kids to show me their respect and gratitude by doing what I wanted them to do when I wanted them to do it. I expected them to leave my stuff alone and to listen to me. I expected them to be interested in pleasing me and performing for me, to like what I like. I expected them to honor me as an authority just because I am one. Further, I had so many expectations about the role that my family and my community would play in my child's life. I expected a village. I expected that as a grown-ass adult, that I would maintain the control over my home environment. But the kids that I got require me to totally surrender my home decor and my style to their sensory needs. I expected control over my own body, but they own me. My boobs, my uterus, my pelvic floor. When I eat, when I sleep, when I rest, where I go, what I do, even when they're not with me, they're influencing my decisions. I'm shopping for them, thinking of them, considering them. And y'all, as a person who needs autonomy like I need air, I cannot express to you how much of an impact the loss of my autonomy has had on my PDA. However, I couldn't have anticipated that back before I had the kids because I still had my autonomy. Before kids, we can only guess what kind of parent we'll be based on our expectations, what we know about ourselves, and how we imagine our kids' and environment will be in the future. And that guess is entirely wrong. There is no proper or adequate preparation for parenthood, no matter what your neurotype is. I didn't know I was autistic when I had kids. Because I wasn't struggling with my autistic traits, I was in an environment that actually approved of and affirmed me as a worthy individual for most of my life. I didn't experience my autism as suffering. I knew who I was. I knew that I had these traits. I didn't know they were called autism, and there's nothing about them that makes me a bad mom. I had no idea I was autistic until my first child was 8. I thought that all my positive traits of autism were great, that those were just my personality, and any dysregulation or stress or dysfunction was actually anxiety, trauma, PTSD, allergies, phases of the moon, my hormones, my period, my messy house, my husband. It was always something else. And I was trying my best to fix it. One of the reasons that I didn't know I was autistic before kids was because I was really well regulated before the kids. And I didn't know that that was what that was. I thought that's just how I was. I didn't understand really. Because my hours alone working in a quiet house on projects that I really love was refreshing me. My big, glorious long sleeps were refreshing my nervous system. The free time to research really deeply into my hyperfocuses, my passions, all of those things were coping mechanisms that I didn't know were coping mechanisms. I just called that my life. But they were coping mechanisms that helped me reboot my fragile nervous system. and dissipate the constant buildup of trauma that I receive as a neurodivergent woman going through life in this system. And escaping into hyperfocus projects and research, getting deep sleep, or having long periods of restorative daily silence, all of that was made unavailable to me when I had kids. I had to experience some grief and suffering before I figured out what coping mechanisms I could use with kids. Neurodivergent parents are especially good at raising neurodivergent children. The double empathy problem is really tough when you have a neurodivergent kid and they have a neurotypical parent and the two cannot identify with each other. The world needs neurodivergent people. We are the ones who hyper-focus on problems and fix them. We invent, create, and innovate. Neurodivergent people are super cool. We are the creators, the innovators, the entertainers. We start revolutions in schools and bands and gardens. We break cycles. We engineer, we design, we make the world a better place. We made the phone or the laptop that y'all are looking at this on right now. And we write about it all, and we talk about it all, and we witness and observe it all. Neurodivergent parents make neurodivergent kids, and the world needs neurodivergent people. So yeah, we should be allowed to exist and breed, and we should be able to connect with each other and talk about it when that stuff is a little hard. And I can't believe I have to say this out loud.